Welcome to the second video of our summer series. Today we're going to talk about the college essay. And before we get started, I want to introduce myself. My name is Jen Foldberry, and I am a college consultant with Educational Connections. Previous to my work at EC, I served as an associate director of admission at the University of Toledo. And then I went over to the other side of the desk and worked as a high school counselor for 15 years. Renee, do you want to go ahead and share a little bit about you?
Sure. My name is Renee Minnick, and I'm also a college consultant at Educational Connections. Before joining EC, I was a senior associate director of admissions at the Rochester Institute of Technology, where I worked for 28 years. So in that time, I have read a lot of college essays in my time. So I'm excited to talk about this topic today. I'm going to kick us off if that's okay with you, Jen. And I'd like to
Absolutely.
first talk about why is the college essay so important? It's really a topic that a lot of students and families talk about. So as a former admissions officer, I used to read the application and the essay first so I could get an idea of who the student was before I even looked at their transcript. I can't say that every admissions officer does this, but I think many do. And I think it's a great way for a student to make a really strong first impression if they do it correctly. So your essay really shows who you are beyond your academic metrics, beyond your transcript, your grades, your test scores. And with so many students these days presenting very similar transcripts and academic backgrounds, your essay is really your way to stand out and be unique and show what you will add to campus if you are admitted.
Absolutely. And you know what? It also gives the admission committee an idea of what a strong writer you could be.
That's
That
absolutely
helps.
true. That's something they're looking for sure.
Yep. So let's talk about where to start. How to choose a topic. That's the hardest part is just choosing your topic, what to write
I,
about.
I
Okay.
agree. It is the hardest part, Jen.
Yeah,
That's funny.
it's rough. So first of all, your essay is should be about a personal or meaningful story or experience that you've had. So you're not just telling a story, but you're sharing with them why it matters to you. How has it shaped you? Talk about what you've learned or how you've grown. That's always a good thing to keep in mind when you're writing your essay. When I work with students on their essays, I meet them where they are. So some students come to me and they know exactly what they want to write about and they just dive right in. Others have no idea where to start. And so if they fall into the latter category, that's when I use this brainstorming activity that I've come up with to talk with them and learn a little bit more about their values, their interests, their strengths, what makes them unique, because those are the things they're going to want to share in their essay. So this usually sparks a few ideas once we start talking about it. And then after that, we do a brain dump and a shared document that we work on together in a Google document. And then once they get their ideas out on paper, then we start the outline. So I always tell the students, you've got all these ideas floating in your head right now, just get them out. Don't worry about spelling or grammar or flow. Just get it all out on paper and we'll organize it later.
I agree, Jen. I do the same thing when working with students. It's a lot of brainstorming at the beginning on topic and not just topic, but once you pick a topic, what are you going to write about on that topic? So making some bullet points to get them started. For a lot of students, I just have them write the first paragraph and then shoot me an email and I'll take a look at it because going into it and writing the first paragraph is a lot less intimidating than actually writing the entire. And I'll tell you, Jen, you said something about writing about what makes them unique. I don't know about you, but I have never met a student that I didn't find something unique about them that they could share. Sometimes they're like, I don't have anything, but I'm telling you, after you have a conversation and do some brainstorming, I always find something that's unique about them that they can share.
Yep, absolutely.
So the next thing I want to talk about is tips for writing a compelling essay, because it's not just about writing the essay, it's how to write it well and how to convey what you want to say. So the first paragraph is really important. You want to tell a specific story, something as specific as possible with lots of details. That's really something that will draw the reader in and pick something that is a story that no one else can tell. Maybe, that you experienced that maybe no one else did, or maybe other people experienced it, but to them, it wasn't as significant as it was to you. You also don't want to repeat what's already on your application. So you're already putting in a resume, an activity list, those things. You want to share something that is different from what they'll see on those other lists. You have 650 words if it's your Common App essay, and you want to use it well. So make sure that you're sharing something new that the admissions committee doesn't already know about you. The biggest tip I give students is to be authentic. And when I say that, I don't know right away that they understand what I mean. The first thing is don't try to write what you think the admissions committee wants to hear. What they want to hear is who you are. They want to learn about you. So just share that. And if you pick a topic that you're passionate about, it's going to be so much easier to write. And it really will ring very true and authentic to the admissions committee. One of the big tips I share with students, and I think this helps them in writing it, is that the essay should be 10% about what happened and 90% about why it matters to you. And it doesn't have to be this major life experience. It can be something that may seem insignificant to other people, but it's important to you. And that's the story that you're going to tell.
Absolutely. And it's not like your essay for your English class. It's more informal and students always get so nervous about their topic. They have to had accomplished something big like a cure
Yes.
for cancer or save somebody's life. And I'm like,
Yes.
you don't have to do all that. They just want to know who you are. But also a great way in your essay is to connect your past experiences with your future goals and your hopes for college. They can actually see where you plan to go, what your plans are. Also helps.
For
So
sure.
Renee and I were talking before about some essays that we've read in the past that we just thought really worked. Really things that stood out that we're still remembering even years later after reading them.
Mhm.
And I had a couple. I had one that I read. It was a student who wrote about his very first time on a roller coaster and how he was equating that to his life's ups and downs. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then I had another student who wrote about a 6 hour road trip with his grandmother and how he was dreading it at first. But then in the end, it turned into him learning about his family, his history, his heritage, and he actually grew closer with his grandmother. So it's kind of neat. It revealed who he was.
I love that, Jen. I've had so many, I've probably read over 25,000 college essays in my time. So I have read a lot of essays, a lot of similar topics, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But they don't, as I said before, they don't have to be really, really strong topics. They just need to be unique things to you. So I have a student I'm working with who's writing about gardening because he loves science, and that's where he got his interest in science. So I thought that one was really cool. I have a student who also loves bugs and has since she's been little. So she's writing about entomology and her favorite beetle. Another student who has a water bottle that has stickers all over it that she's been collecting all of high school. So she's picking her top 5 stickers and talking about why those places and experiences are important to her. So it can be about anything. And every student, as I said, has that unique story to tell. It's really just about sitting down and thinking about it and putting pen to paper to get started.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk a little bit about common mistakes that students make. So
Yes.
your typical cliche stories, we read so many essays on mission trips or winning a big game or
Mm-hmm.
sports injuries and how they
Mm-hmm.
overcame them. And that's great. I know it's important to you, but and if you decide to write about these topics, do it. You can do it, but talk about something that's specific to you within that story. So pick a story within the story to elaborate on. So it's not just what happened, what it meant to you, and kind of dive a little bit deeper into that. Another thing is using overly complex vocabulary or bragging about yourself. You don't have to do all that. They just want to know who you are, right? Another one is waiting until the last minute to start your essay. That's a big one.
I
You
agree.
you're not going to do it overnight, right? You need some time. You need to make some revisions. You need to get some feedback and look over it again and just make sure that it looks good. And you don't want to have to rush that.
Jen, I absolutely agree. And I tell students no one should go back to their senior year in the fall and not have their Common App essay done. This is the time to write it. It's so much more challenging to procrastinate and put it off to the fall. And then you're trying to write it while doing your schoolwork. So, way too many competing priorities in the fall. There's no reason that you should knock that off this summer. So, all students I'm working with are working on their essays right now. And hopefully, we'll have them done
Same
by the
here.
end of the month. The last mistake I see is students not getting feedback. You should never write your essay and just hand it in. Ask someone to read it for you. It can be a counselor or a parent, a friend, anybody, just to read through and give you, because you read through and you see the same mistakes over and over and you skip right over them. So that fresh set of eyes can really make a big difference when you're talking about proofreading. So definitely get some feedback. So I think we're going to wrap it up there, Jen. We're trying to keep these short and sweet, but also hopefully give a lot of information that's helpful to families. We have another one we'll be working on next week, which is going to be about the personal narrative and role it plays in college admission. So I'm excited to talk about that next week, and I hope you all join us. Thanks so much and have a great day.
Bye bye.